Claire is a published poet and author. She is a teacher of creative writing, an editor, mentor, regular contributor to BBC Radio Berkshire. She's had 4 fiction books published, with another one out later this year, which is a murder mystery, bit of a diversion for her. And she's had 3 poetry collections, all of which have been published by Two Rivers Press. The most recent collection, which came out about 6 weeks ago, is called Yield, and it's received a wonderful welcome in the poetry world. And it's the story in Claire's poetry voice of the transformation of our son Liam into being our daughter Lucy. So Claire, let me hand over to you.
Thanks, Jez, and thank you to the Poets Café team for inviting me, i.e. me. I've loved the open mic poem so far and the readings by my fellow Two Rivers Press poets, and I'm looking forward to the final part of the open mic. I'm going to read for about 8 minutes, and I think we've got 3 more open micers, so hopefully we will be fit 2 more, so we should be finished by 9:45 as previewed. Thank you again to Two Rivers Press for publishing Yield, and especially for the stunning cover. I've been overwhelmed by the generosity of people's reactions to the book. As I said at the launch, it's not a manifesto, it's a love song for my family. For those that don't know, the book is based on 3 definitions of the verb to yield: to give forth, to give in, and to gain something valuable. And as Jez says, it chronicles the journey that we've taken as Liam has become Lucy. I would add that I have Lucy's permission to refer to her by her old name of Liam, status, gender and pronoun where appropriate. And what we both hope, Lucy and I, is that the book may help other parents if they're experiencing similar journeys. The book has a cast of characters. The you in the poems is Lucy, the I and she are me, the he and your father are my husband, and Lucy's brother Jared features too, as do other members of our extended family. I'm going to read 6 poems, as I said, which should take 8 minutes. One of the poems is really, really short. The first one I'm going to read, though, is called Spill. And this is a poem about writing poetry. And it's in 2 parts. And the first part is the place where I tend to go to prepare to write. And then the second part is supposed to be the product of that writing. It came from a visit to Leighton House in London, where I saw a study for, which was a hand drawn by Lord Leighton, which later appeared in a bigger work. So that's the idea behind the poem, and it's about capturing birdsong, which is a metaphor for me for trying to define Lucy's transition. And the splitting of the glass and the spill of the song, which I referred to in the second part, is a metaphor for trying to let go of the confusion that this caused. Spill. 1. Study 4. Mackerel are shoaling the blue waters. There's a docker dividing a clamour of human hearts into wire baskets on the quay. I watch the growth knots on the clematis in my garden loosen. In the tiny are vast, inexplicable things. The first thoughts will be of birdsong captured in a jar. With practice, I'll write the splitting of glass, the spill of the song. 2. Spill. She lifts the jar with her pale hands, her pale fingers, her fingernails mother of pearl pale. She twists the jar in an act of refraction to the point where light splits. Waits for the heat to build, the first cracks to appear. The sun is at its absolute. And then they come, hesitant, sinewy, like moments before deer run, and soon the sound is deafening, the foretaste of apocalypse. So the glass shatters, blasts tiny red stitches into the skin on her arms, her face, yet still the glass glints, yet still the light splits, and at last the song spills into a song waterfall. The birds know exactly what they do. I'm going to read for the main part of my bit of this evening the 4 clinic poems in the book. These chart our visits to the Gender Identity Clinic in London. As I say, there are 4 of them. The 4th is a haiku, so it's really, really short. The first one is imaginatively called Clinic 1, and it was obviously a tricky occasion that only kind of began to make sense in retrospect. Clinic 1. That first time you were boy, and I had 5 things to say, casting them one by one on the way. Car, train, tube, Starbucks, waiting room. I wonder if you knew the violence of my holding on, feet on the bank, leaning over water, you a frantic salmon in my hands. In reception, a woman my age in a scarlet dress that didn't fit arrived just after us. If I'd been braver, wiser, kinder, the 6th thing I would have said was if she'd thought of wearing a petticoat under it. Clinic 2, and I haven't misgendered anybody in this poem. The switching pronoun at the end is deliberate. That second visit, you were girl, and I had less to say. Like it was usual, your dad and I drank tea nearby, returned to hear you plan next time for a person known by your new name, your new voice ringing with it, bouncing it off the walls, ruffling the leaflets on the notice boards. After you, another girl going the other way, asking for her next appointment to be later in the day. She had a distance to travel, no family, money, love. If I'd been braver, wiser, kinder, I'd have given her enough for a hotel, given him a hot meal, hope, a hug. Clinic 3. The ending of this poem is deliberate because I really couldn't work out what to say. Clinic 3. You entered like a gazelle, graceful, eyes wide and oh so lovely. The stairwell air was homely. We're getting used to this, your father said. I tried not to stare, feel the sharp points of others' needs lodged in the corners of the room. When you were called, we went to Pret, and I watched a woman from the clinic buy a Swedish meatball wrap. Dust cart inch along Fulham Palace Road, man in high-vis jacket picking up the trash, knots of kids walking home from school, a couple at the bus stop kiss, and if I'd been braver, wiser, kinder, I. Clinic 4. This time on your own. Me, a pearl in your pocket. Promise for us both. And the last poem we're going to read is the Afterword. I rarely read this because this is kind of my favourite poem, I think, in the book. But I want to read it tonight because Poets Café is my favourite place in the world. We were in Calcan, and for those who don't know us well know that we love Calcan. We go there as often as we can. And we were there in early May 2019 for Jared's wedding. It was Lucy's first trip there with us for nearly 5 years because it was one of the things she didn't feel comfortable doing while the change was going ahead. The day before the wedding ceremony, it rained, after which we were treated to the most marvellous display, rising out of the olive grove that our villa overlooked. It was a moment of huge healing for all sorts of reasons. 2 other quick things. Muezzin is the call to prayer, and the last line is inspired, as other last lines in the book are, by Corsley's poem Eden Rock. It's called Afterword, like this. and thank you again for listening. Each morning, the stirring branches and the shepherd calling his ribbon of sheep to heel in the olive grove beneath our window. The bay scattered with tinfoil confetti, the fishing boats bringing back the catch. And in town, they will be washing down the restaurant floors, loading sweet peppers, strawberries, aubergines into vans. As the muezzin rings the air, a ballet of bee-eaters rises above the trees. You, my love, are with us here, and turning, I see your father sleeping. I did not expect it could still be like this. Thank you.